The movie begins with Morticia Addams waking up to her alarm at night and turning it off. She screws on her shoes and clothes and uses her late parents' ashes as makeup. Morticia emerges from the sewer, and the townspeople are terrified as her relatives accompany her to her wedding. She sees Gomez, her fiancé, and Thing, a dismembered hand, gives him his wedding ring. The wedding ceremony begins, and as Gomez and Morticia are about to drink out of the coconut, the townspeople attack the Addams family and call them freaks and monsters. Morticia and Gomez hurriedly conclude their wedding and try to escape, but the townspeople destroy the bridge. Grandmama, Gomez's mom, instructs Gomez, Morticia, and Fester to escape while she buys them time. Gomez and Morticia get on Fester's back, and he climbs up a cliff. Morticia tells Gomez that she wants a home where people won't chase them away, and they decide to find one. Whole Thing drives through New Jersey. Gomez promises to grant Morticia's every wish, and as they kiss, they accidentally hit someone. They get out of the car and realize they hit a man from an asylum. They decide to go to the asylum and make Lurch, the insane man, their butler. They arrive at the asylum and realize it's abandoned. They decide to make it their home, and Lurch plays the piano. Years later, Gomez and Morticia have 2 kids, Wednesday and Pugsley. Morticia instructs Lurch to dust the house while Ichabod, a walking tree, wakes the children. Wednesday, Gomez and Morticia's daughter hears a bicycle bell but doesn't see the source of the sound. Gomez emerges from the house and searches for Pugsley because he has sword practice. Pugsley attacks Gomez while flying on a rocket, and Gomez dodges as he acknowledges his efforts. Pugsley falls into the house and emerges. Gomez informs Pugsley that his saber mazurka, a family tradition practiced by the Addams family, is in 2 weeks, and he has to prepare for it. Pugsley complains and says he prefers explosives to swords. Later, Morticia and the family eat in the dining room, and she informs Gomez that their relatives will need a place to stay during Pugsley's mazurka. Fester bursts into the house, and Gomez informs Morticia that he invited Fester to help Pugsley prepare for his mazurka. Wednesday asks Fester what resides outside the compound, and Morticia asks her why she wants to know. She informs them about the sound she heard, and Morticia says she can travel to her heart's content when she gets older. Wednesday complains because Fester is allowed to travel to wherever he wants, and she walks out of the dining room. Lurch enters the kitchen and turns on the television. Margot Needler, a television host and home design expert, appears in an advert and talks about her biggest project, Assimilation. Assimilation is a town Margot designed, and she plans to sell it on the last day of her show in 2 weeks. After the ad shoot, she informs her assistant that she wants a better advert. Parker, Margot's daughter, rides to her and informs her she found a creepy house on a hill. Margot ignores Parker and walks away with her assistant. Wednesday talks to Pugsley and tells him she knows he isn't ready for his mazurka. She tricks him, buries him in a grave, and sees a balloon float into the compound. She walks into the house with the balloon, and Morticia and Gomez see her. They see a piece of confetti on her shoulder, and she informs them it's falling from the outside sky. They rush outside and realize that the fog around their compound is clearing. They see a town at the bottom of the hill, and Gomez suggests they go to it and introduce themselves. Margot makes an advert in a house. She looks through the window, and as she sees the asylum on the hill, she passes out. Gomez and his family arrive in the town, and Gomez suggests they explore the neighborhood. He enters a coffee shop and takes a plate of coffee grounds. They see some kids singing, and Fester interrupts them as he sings. He releases a swarm of bats from his jacket, scaring the people away. Margot and her assistant meet Gomez and his family, and she offers them a free home makeover to beautify their house. Morticia reluctantly agrees, and Margot informs them she will come to her house the following day. The following day, Margot and her crew arrive at the Addams house, and Lurch opens the door. Margot welcomes Gomez and the family to the neighborhood, and Morticia says Pugsley has been crawling on the walls in excitement. They walk around the house and take the crew to the wine cellar. They see the family's bottomless pit, and Morticia releases some spiders from her gown that serve as a bridge. Outside, Parker uses her phone, and Ichabod grabs the phone and gives Wednesday. Wednesday wonders how the phone works, and Parker realizes she doesn't own a phone. Wednesday informs Parker she doesn't have a crossbow and shoots an arrow at Fester. She informs Parker that she is cage-schooled and asks Parker if anyone can go to her school. Inside, Margot uses spray paint to mark the parts of the house to be demolished for renovation. Gomez and Morticia inform her that they love the design with the spray paint and say they'll leave the house as it is. They tell her their family is coming in 2 weeks, and Morticia says they've done enough. Margot and her crew leave the house, and she informs Gomez she has 50 houses to sell. He informs her his family will be interested in the house. He feeds the gate meat as Margot and her crew run out of the compound. Later, Morticia talks to Gomez and says she doesn't trust Margot. Wednesday startles Gomez, and Morticia instructs her to startle other people, not her father. Wednesday informs them about the high school and suggests that she goes to school like other children. Her dad agrees with her, and Morticia reluctantly agrees. Gomez drops Wednesday at school, and she enters the building. She walks to Parker and Bethany, a bully, takes Parker's bag, puts a moldy sandwich, and pours juice in it. She laughs as she walks away, and Wednesday talks to her. She scares Bethany and informs her she's locked in the school with her. Bethany walks away with her friends, and Parker informs Wednesday that Bethany is popular in the school. Meanwhile, Margot enters a secret room in her house and begins sending false information about the Adams to the neighborhood members. Back in the school, Wednesday and Parker are in a science class and are instructed to dissect a frog. Wednesday uses her knowledge of the dead to bring all the frogs back to life and makes them attack Bethany. Bethany and the other students run out of school while screaming, and Parker walks out with Wednesday and her friends. In the house, Lurch plays the piano, and Morticia says she's worried because it's getting late and Wednesday hasn't returned. Gomez calms her, and they continue the game they are playing. Grandmama suddenly enters the house through the chimney, and they welcome her. Morticia tells her the mazurka is happening the following week, and Grandmama says Gomez asked her to come to the house. Wednesday enters the house, and Morticia sees a colorful hairpin on her head. Morticia asks her why she's wearing it, and Wednesday says it brings out her smile. Grandmama offers to talk to Wednesday, but Morticia refuses and enters Wednesday's room. She tells Wednesday to join her for a séance in the cemetery the following day, and Wednesday agrees to meet her. The following day, Wednesday talks to Parker in her room while she uses a magnifying glass to burn some objects. Parker says she'd love to dress differently because her mom forces her to wear colorful clothes. In the cemetery, Morticia talks to her late parents through a magic sphere. She informs them that Wednesday is distancing herself from her. Her mother reminds her that she wanted to see the world when she was younger. Her dad says she joined the Girl Scouts when she was young but left because they used the campfire for roasting marshmallows and not other Girl Scouts. They tell her to give Wednesday time, and she'll return to her. Gomez practices the mazurka with Pugsley, and Pugsley flops the practice. Gomez instructs him to leave and gets frustrated as he talks to Fester. Pugsley listens as Gomez says he isn't ready for the mazurka and will be eaten alive. Morticia talks to Grandmama in the kitchen, and she hears someone entering the house. She goes to the front door and sees Wednesday dressed in colorful clothes. Wednesday tells them she prefers her new look, and Morticia informs her she won't be allowed to leave the house. Margot enters her house and sees Parker dressed in dark clothing. She takes Parker's phone and instructs her to take off the dark clothes. As Pugsley practices for his mazurka, he sees Wednesday sneaking out of the house on Ichabod. She informs Pugsley that staying in the house is torment, and she doesn't want to be exactly like her parents. She leaves the compound, and Morticia enters Pugsley's room. She asks him where Wednesday is, and he informs her she left the house to stay at her friend's place. Morticia looks out the window and watches as Wednesday walks out of the compound. Morticia and the family are sad because of their current situation. Wednesday arrives at Parker's house and informs her she will be staying at her house for a while. The following day, the Adams relatives begin to arrive at the house for Pugsley's mazurka. Parker searches the house for her phone, and Wednesday informs her that they should search the room they're not allowed to enter. They enter the room, and Wednesday finds a lever that leads to the secret room. They realize that Margot has secret cameras in the neighbors' houses. Margot enters the room and catches them as they look through the computer. Margot locks them in a room and leaves the house to film the finale of her show. The townspeople see the Adams family moving through the town as they make their way to the Adams house. Margot sends a message to everyone in the neighborhood and says the Adams family are monsters. She instructs the townspeople to gather at her house. The Adams arrive at the house, and Great Auntie Sloom, Grandmama's sister, arrives. The townspeople gather at Margot's house, and she convinces them to attack the Addams family and destroy their house. Wednesday and Parker watch through a window, and Wednesday helps them escape the room by picking the door lock. The family has fun in the Addams house as they prepare for Pugsley's mazurka. Grandmama talks to Sloom, and they argue about who won the last fight they had. Morticia separates Sloom and Grandmama, and Sloom instructs her to begin the mazurka. They begin the occasion, and Pugsley emerges from a wooden box. He reads from a book and forces himself to grow a beard. The saber mazurka begins, and Gomez forms the Addams mustache on Pugsley. The relatives dance with their knives around Pugsley, but he cannot keep up with them and fails the mazurka. He apologizes to his dad, and Gomez realizes he has stopped Pugsley from being who he is. A giant boulder breaks into the house, and they realize Margot and the townspeople are attacking them. Gomez instructs Pugsley to protect the family, and he uses his explosives. The family members follow him as they run around. He eventually runs out of explosives, and Wednesday saves them as the building collapses. She uses Ichabod to save the relatives and carries them out of the house. Thing gives Pugsley an explosive, and he uses it to destroy the giant catapult. The relatives help themselves get off the tree, and the townspeople realize the Addams are just a family. Margot tells the townspeople not to believe the Addams, and Parker sides with Wednesday and her family. She informs the townspeople that Margot has been spying on them. Parker reveals that she has been recording Margot and her network calls and says they want to cancel their contract. Margot realizes that she has to sell the houses or she will go bankrupt, and Fester talks to her. The townspeople apologize to the Addams and help them rebuild their house. The relatives buy the houses from Margot and move into the neighborhood. Sloom gives Pugsley his hat and officially makes him a family member. The relatives celebrate with the townspeople as they dance, and the family gathers to take a picture. The end. Thank you for watching. Check out these other videos and make sure to subscribe and tap the bell to be notified about our latest videos. See you next time.